crazier than ever. We had a crazy show this morning, but it's getting even crazier. More breaking news. You won't believe it, but the most unlikely person is joining Trump's dream team. This is crazy bombshell news. Tulsi Gabbard, that's one of them, an independent, now saying she's going to be behind Trump big time so that he could win. This is huge. At the same time, guess who else is joining in the mix? A guy by the name of Mark Zuckerberg. This is the Facebook CEO, guys. This is the same person that when you read this letter, when I show you this letter, you're not going to believe it because he was 100% behind Biden Harris in 2020. Now he's completely flipped the script and is just saying, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I regret doing that. That was a big mistake. Everyone is turning towards Trump, guys. This is crazy. We have RFK, who's just announced that he's going to be working hand in hand to actually lead Trump's pick of his personnel for his second term in presidency. This is the most disgusting thing I'm about to say on this channel, guys. Prepared. I hope you're sitting down. But Democrats just made a huge change. It's about to be passed. They're going to give between $100,000 and $150,000 to illegals to help buy a home for the first time. I'm not making this up. People are disgusted. A lot of people are switching parties over this. I don't blame them. And we have Dan Bongino, who gives his testimony before the Trump assassination attempt forum, and this guy goes off. So just want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you to all of our members of the channel. Linda Bradburn and Kathy Bailey are new members of the channel. Thank you so much for supporting us, and thank you. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so we can serve you every single day with the top news. And if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, guys. Thank you so much also, too, to everybody that gives a super chat donation. It is such a blessing to me and my family. We appreciate you very much. We got so much news. This is crazy. I love being able to serve y'all with all this crazy news. But don't forget to tell me where you're from. But this is the big, big speech, guys, from today. Check it out.
Thank you, Mr. President. Aloha. I know we got Hawaii in the house here. There we go. It is a privilege to be here with all of you, my brothers and sisters in uniform, especially on this day of all days. I had the privilege of joining President Trump this morning at Arlington Cemetery, where he joined two Gold Star families and loved ones of Staff Sergeant Hoover and Sergeant G, both of whom were two of the 13 killed in the Abbey Gate attack 3 years ago today in Kabul. And I can tell you, as we were there, as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, joining these Marines' loved ones, I felt the sorrow that he shared with them in their loss. I felt and saw his sincere appreciation for these servicemen and women who paid the ultimate price and their loved ones who continue to grieve to this day. This is personal for me, as I know it is for so many of you here. This is real.
Yeah.
It's not just words. I first deployed to Iraq in 2005 with the Hawaii Army National Guard as a member of Charlie Med. As those of you who were deployed during that time know, it was the height of the war, and sadly, we took many casualties. And every day we were confronted with that high human cost of war and that sadness as we boarded the plane when we left, that we were leaving some of our brothers and sisters behind, only to lose others when we got home to suicide. So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes.
Oh, sorry, guys.
We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before.
And just so everybody knows, Tulsi Gabbard literally was on the debate stage with Kamala Harris trying to run for the Democrats because she's an independent. But look how far things have come, where she is now standing beside Donald Trump. This is really important what you're about to hear. Check it out.
This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House, where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief.
Let's go.
Because I am confident that his first task will be to do the work to walk us back from the brink of war. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace. And we can't live free as long as we have a government that is retaliating against its political opponents and undermining our civil liberties, weaponizing our very institutions against those they deem as a threat.
And if y'all didn't know, the Biden administration has put Tulsi Gabbard on the terror watch list. Yes, it's one, like, this has already been proven. She has posted about it big times. Like, this is 100% true.
Kamala Harris has done this over the last 3.5 years. She won't hesitate to continue that if she is elected as president. President Trump has been their first and foremost target in this because they don't want us as voters to even have the option to vote for him. I've been their most recent target, added to a secret domestic terror watch list after exposing the truth about what kind of dangers we would face if Kamala Harris is elected as president.
This is nuts.
We as Americans must stand together to reject this anti-freedom culture of political retaliation and abuse of power. We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future. I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people. Thank you very much.
Let's go, guys. This is huge. She's an independent. This is like what you're about to see, what I'm about to show you. This is breaking. Like, nobody thought this would ever happen. This is blowing up on Twitter right now. You see this breaking? Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg regrets the Biden censorship. A lot of people are turning towards Trump. This is huge. Never did anybody think that they would come out of the woodworks and admit to what actually happened in 2020. That he admits to censoring under the Biden admin pressure. That, remember the biggest one, they pressured so the Biden-Harris admin, this is from the House Judiciary GOP. Biden-Harris admin pressured Facebook to censor Americans. Facebook censored Americans. They throttled the Hunter Biden story. And this is the letter from Zuckerberg saying everything is true. Everything that y'all thought, it is 100% true. Linda Bradburn, we gave you a shout out earlier. Thank you so much for supporting our channel. Everybody show some love to Linda in the chat. So there's people that are turning like never before towards Trump, giving him the credit, letting everybody know that the Biden-Harris administration has been essentially cheating, corrupt since they got into office, censoring all this to try and win. They're trying to do it again. But more what's coming from the Democratic side is what you're about to see here, because everybody is up in arms, Republicans and Democrats. Check this out. Let me know your thoughts.
California lawmakers are moving forward with a new bill that would grant illegal immigrants easy access to home mortgages. California's Dream for All program provides loans to first-time homebuyers to cover expensive down payments. But now a state Senate committee has unanimously voted to open up the taxpayer-funded program to all prospective homebuyers, regardless of immigration status. Now, the bill next goes to the full state Senate, and this isn't just happening in California, by the way. A taxpayer-funded group in Oregon is offering up to $30,000 for first-time homebuyers. The catch, it's not even open to United States citizens.
You can't be a citizen.
Migrants. Kevin, is this good for business?
No. In fact, average salary in America is $68,000. Down payments, $20,000 to $30,000. If I were a tax-paying American citizen listening to us right now, I would be really pissed off. And I mean, this is more Gavin Newsom stuff. I have been an open critic of his policies in terms of what it's done to California. It's turning it into an economic dumpster fire. This policy makes no sense. I call it un-American. You're an American paying taxes.
Yep.
And you don't get the same free money? I mean, who would even propose that? That's such a stupid idea. I can't believe it.
It doesn't matter who proposed it because it's getting passed. That's the worst part about it. Taxpayer money, yours and mine money, given we don't even get the opportunity to get it whenever you're trying to buy a home. How messed up is that? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
If that passes, that's just more insanity in
Do
California.
you think he's going to sign it, though, Kevin? Because I'm questioning whether or not he will. I mean, they've got a $45 billion budget deficit right now in California. I'm wondering if the budget hawks are going to say, wait a minute, Gavin, back up.
I think the reason Newsom was not considered for a presidency role in this last round is he owns the dumpster fire called California. If you proposed him to run this country the way he runs California, not all of us want to live in a dumpster fire. And so I think he has to fix California, and that's not how you start. If you're a taxpayer, an American citizen, and you don't get access to the same deal, you should be really pissed.
This program ran out of money when they first introduced it in 2 weeks. Just to be clear, I mean, the affordability crisis for housing in California is off the charts.
100%.
That is a Democratic Senate, by the way. I think that they will pass it, to your point, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure Gavin's going to sign it. I don't know. We'll see.
I can't imagine being Gen Z. I can't imagine being a young person and you feel economically depressed. And you go look, and the median housing price for the second quarter of this year was $412,000. That's up nearly 30% of the second quarter from 2021. And then you think, okay, maybe I can afford this. Oh, wait, the interest rate's about 7% on mortgages. I looked this morning. And then you find out your taxpayer dollars could go to illegal immigrants getting the down payment you have saved for. I can't imagine being a young person. I can't imagine trying to find a starter home and then hearing this. I just can't.
And let's talk about Oregon for a second, because so many Californians fled there. It, like Washington, California, has a large agricultural population, and it's the coast that is so staunchly blue, right? The majority of it is red. That is why so much of Oregon is trying to secede to be joined by Idaho or be subsumed by Idaho. And policies like this don't help, to your point. The travesty is not necessarily an open hand to illegal immigrants. The travesty is that you are stamping down American taxpayers. You are casting them aside, and you are propping up illegal immigrants.
Yeah, this is why Kamala Harris and other Democrats don't want to talk about things. They don't want to be asked. They don't want to have to raise their hand and say, do you approve of this? And I would say that, as a former leftist, that it's California, New York, and England, London, that you can look to determine where the left is going worldwide. London is doing the same thing, right? They've just announced free housing, homes for illegal immigrants. Obviously, we've been doing it with hotels. California, Oregon now doing it here. But born as a native Californian, I've never owned a home. Lost everything in 2007 and 8. We had the housing crisis then because of the subprime issue, the ability for people on welfare to use that income to get a house. The idea that people who would need this to get a house means that maybe they can't quite afford it yet, and that would lead to something else. But as an individual who's never had one, and maybe will never get one, considering the environment, I think about our veterans living on the streets.
Yes.
So when we think we're not bereft for other people who might want this program, and it certainly should at least be U.S. citizens first.
That's right.
100%, because I've actually got the video of the person who proposed it and who's championing it in California. Because remember, it starts in London, it's in California, it's in Oregon. I promise you, if they could, they'd put this in every single state. Watch this, because this is what we're voting against. Check this out.
California has a program meant to help low-income, first-time homebuyers get a down payment. William Lajeunesse joins me. William, could this program soon be available to illegal migrants?
Well, Stuart, that is what Democrats are trying to ram through Sacramento right now. It's basically a program that subsidizes qualified illegal immigrants to up to $100,000 each to buy a home. So the program is called the California Dream for All program. It's created to help middle and income home buyers.
Wow.
Now, initially, the program required residents to be here legally, either a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident. But last week, Assembly Democrats overrode Republican opposition, changing that eligibility to say this: an applicant who meets the requirements for a loan under the Home Purchase Assistance Program shall not be disqualified by the agency based solely on the applicant's immigration status.
The social and economic benefits of homeownership should be accessible to everyone, regardless of immigration status.
Wow.
So the program provides first-time buyers with a zero-interest loan up to 20% of a home's purchase price.
Can you believe that? We got 7% interest rates that every American has to, if they want to get a home right now, that's what they got to do. But they're wanting to offer this 0% interest and up to 20% of the home buying price to illegals with taxpayer-funded money. This is so ridiculous, so obtrusive to the rights of taxpayers in America. I can't imagine being there, but what I can imagine is that they would want to push this federally. Because remember, the Democrats, they all align. They all push the same agenda. If they do it in this one state, and if they get control, I could see them doing it across the entire United States at the federal level. We didn't think, remember, and a lot of people say, Joel, that would never happen. We didn't think a lot would ever happen. You didn't think this. What I'm about to show you, I usually don't show memes like this, but you have to see this. Look at this meme. I know it's got The Simpsons in it, but check this out. The people who forced you to get vaxxed to keep your job let in 17 million unvaxxed and unemployed. Let that sink in. Look at this caravan. So whenever we say like things are crazy and they're controlling and they want to have their way in a certain thing, I'm telling you, we have to be careful. We have to make sure we vote right, because if we don't, it could be the detriment to the USA.
On a median-priced home in California, that's about $150,000 cash up front for each buyer, with their down payment and help with closing costs.
Did you just hear that? $150,000 if they go by the median home price in California? That's how much those people would get, $150,000.
So far this year, the program cost taxpayers about $255 million to help about 2,000 buyers. The bill is sponsored by a prominent Latino rights group with close ties to Vice President Harris.
Wow.
What the rest of the America needs to be worried about is the Kamala Harris-Walz administration taking these crazy California ideas and nationalizing them and taking them to the rest of the country. The country can't afford to buy illegal immigrants' homes.
So eventually, Stuart, the state is repaid with a little appreciation. It is run by a state agency that will then help the immigrant obtain the other 80% of the financing. The bill is expected to pass this week. We don't know what Governor Newsom is going to do, sign it or not.
I'm telling you, like some of these stories that come across, they're so ridiculous. They're so insane, but yet they are so true. We're showing you the evidence. This is why this is True Life News, because you need to see the truth. And what you're about to see is some big truth of what happened at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Check it out.
Well, thanks for your time. Thank you for doing this. Sound okay? Everybody hear me back there? Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Listen, let's just get right to the point. This was an apocalyptic security failure. A man was murdered in front of his family. 3 people were shot on live television, including President Trump in the head, who came within 2 millimeters of having his head explode on national television in front of millions of people. There's no sugarcoating it. It's no time for BS. Unfortunately, as Congressman Crane and Mills both indicated, the story seems to have been vanquished to the phantom zone of media coverage. It's amazing how we're still talking about JFK's assassination, but nobody seems to want to talk about President Trump being shot in the head on national television, despite the fact that we have no answers. So I have 5 minutes, so I want to keep it quick, and I want to make 3 points. I worked in the Secret Service for 12 years. I loved it. I worked with some really amazing men and women who gave everything. I mean, a couple of them literally gave everything. I know guys who've gotten bizarre diseases overseas, like chikungunya fever and protection operations. Everybody gave a little bit of something in the Secret Service, and it was a real honor to say I was part of it. But they have 3 institutional problems, I believe, in the macro will help us get to the bottom of how this Secret Service apocalyptic failure won't happen again. First, they have a technology problem. The joke in the Secret Service, which is sadly no longer funny when I was there, and it wasn't funny then either, is they rely on yesterday's technology tomorrow. Think about that. Yesterday's technology tomorrow. Everything from computer systems that waste agents' times, filling out time and attendance records they were doing, to Congressman Crane and I discussing the fact that they only implemented slings, a technology as old as the wheel, about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years into my time in the Secret Service, which is embarrassing. The weaponry was old, everything was old. These are things I would have talked about sooner if they didn't create a security crisis, and I obviously didn't want to air them publicly. Now you're seeing what happens when you don't have a drone up at a site you could have bought for $39.99 on Amazon. Second, another adage in the Secret Service, you've heard even the new acting director discuss, is the more with less approach. There is no more with less, there's less with less, okay? The Secret Service more with less approach only works if you produce more. That's how capitalism works. You produce a flat screen TV that was probably 20 years ago, $10,000. It's $200 at Walmart now. They produce a better TV with less. That's not what the Secret Service did. They produced less with more. They were given more money and produced less. A 20-year-old criminal outsmarted them on a $40 drone technology piece of device. You're telling me that's more with less? That's disgusting. That's nothing with less. That's less with more. Their budget went up. You guys know, you're appropriators. You know that. Third, and I'll wrap it up with this, turn it over to Mr. Prince. The investigative mission, the Secret Service, that they're telling you they need to make them better agents is total crap. That's garbage. Their agents are talented, smart people. They can figure out how to do protection without running out cheap $20 counterfeit notes at 7-Eleven on a Friday night while the president's getting shot in the head. How is it we have a DEA, we have an FBI, we have TIGTA, the IRS, CBP, and 1,000 other entities with a $6 trillion budget, which I know a lot of you guys have been fighting against this grotesque spending. $3 billion goes to the Secret Service, and we're wasting time running out counterfeit notes. It's a serious problem, counterfeiting. Granted, it might be a legacy item. They started doing counterfeiting. That's not what we do now. Get rid of the investigative mission, turn it over to other people, let them do what they do best and should do best. Protection. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you for doing this. Thanks to the panelists as well and everyone attending. Appreciate it.
Guys, can you imagine that? Like, Bongino was out. He's testifying before the forum. He said a 20-year-old criminal outsmarted the Secret Service and everybody with a $40 drone device. The American people deserve answers. I 100% agree. I believe. Let me know what you think about the dream team. Right now, we got Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk. We've got Vivek Ramaswamy. Now we're adding Tulsi Gabbard. We've got Tim Scott, who's a part of the group. We are really building a strong team. RFK, big time winner. And he just did a sit down with Tucker Carlson. When you hear this, I'm telling you, this just opens your eyes to what is actually happening behind the scenes, in front of our faces. This is why we need free and fair elections. Check this out.
We have in one party selected a man with dementia to lead the free world, and then turned around and picked a person, a woman who cannot give an interview. She cannot defend her vision or America's record in the world. And then she gave this, Vice President Harris gave this speech at the convention that was written by neocons. And they had CIA directors talking at the Democratic convention, military people talking at the Democratic convention. If you really look at what's happening in the Democratic Party today, it's a party that the word demos in Greek means people. But it's a party that's lost faith in the people. It's a party that needs ironclad control. So they didn't trust anybody to have a real election. They got rid of the primaries because they didn't trust the people. They then handpicked Vice President Harris with no election, no even pretense of election, because they didn't trust the people. And they're the party now of censorship.
When you hear, let me know your thoughts in the comments. When you hear RFK say, the Democrats are supposed to be a party of the people, yet they don't trust the people enough to let them pick their own leader. That is how bad it is. Because it wasn't the people. Kamala Harris got 0 votes from any single American. The delegates that she received were for Biden. The delegates then said, we're going to choose Kamala Harris. No person voted for her. And I promise you, if they would have had an open primary and they would have said, okay, we're going to do a quick shot primary. We're going to have Kamala Harris. We're going to have Gretchen Whitmer. We're going to have Gavin Newsom. We're going to have Josh Shapiro. And we're going to see who the people choose. It would not be Kamala Harris. They only chose her because she is the puppet to who? Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Obama, all these big people. I'm telling you, this is the Democratic Party of today's age. But this is what I love, is because the dream team, guys, let's get some love, some likes for the dream team is coming together. Listen to what RFK has to say about what's going to happen whenever he gets into office with Trump.
Corrupts the whole enterprise. So my last question, what happens now? You had this kind of amazing announcement with Donald Trump on Friday. It's now Monday, I think, which is 3 days ago. How do you spend from here until Election Day?
I'm going to work to get him elected. And I'm working with the campaign. We're working on policy issues together. I've been asked to go onto the transition team and, to help pick the people who will be running the government. And I'm looking forward to that.
That is huge. He's been asked to be on the transition team to help pick, whenever Trump wins, who's going to be switching out with who, being on Trump's team. But I'm telling you this, we have to be careful because there's so much, there's a lot of election integrity that needs to be addressed. But I've got good news for you. If you're in Texas, check this out. So Texas removes 1 million from their voter rolls. This is from Greg Abbott, the governor. So he said, Texas has removed over 1.1 million ineligible voters from our rolls. This includes more than 6,500 non-citizens. Almost 2,000 have cast votes. This is huge because, remember, Texas is a big red state, but a lot of people from California are moving to Texas, making it more blue. But this is even crazier. The DNC right now, because remember, Trump campaign is filing a lawsuit against Michigan, Wayne County. Well, now the DNC is suing Georgia Election Board for passing rules delaying certification of results. So I want to break this down for you. The reason that they're delaying the certification of results is because they want to make sure that the results are in fact true. These are the two things that they are suing them against. So the reasonable inquiry rule states that a county board can only certify an election after reasonable inquiry that the tabulation and canvassing of the election are complete. So that means that, okay, what we were supposed to do and how we were supposed to count them, because remember, they changed how they're going to count them. They're going to count them by hand. So they said that we want to make sure that we're counting them by hand. They're complete, they are accurate, and the results are true, accounting for all votes cast in that election. This is what the DNC is literally suing the Georgia Election Board for, making the election more free and fair. How crazy is this, what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments. The DNC, again, the DNC is suing the Georgia Election Board because they are trying to make the election have more integrity, be more fair, be more true. The other thing they're suing them against is the examination rule allows individual county election board members to examine all election-related documentation created during the conduct of election prior to certification of result. So, if it has to do with this election, they want to make sure, the Georgia Election Board said, we want to make sure it's true, we want to make sure it's fair. We had a big issue back in 2020. We can't go through that again. Now the DNC is suing them because they want to make sure it's true and fair. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is so crazy that we're reporting this, but it is so true. We need to have free and fair elections, but now the DNC is literally suing against it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Because right now we have one candidate who is nowhere to be found. Today, Trump has gone to Arlington. He laid the wreath for the memorial of the 13 Afghanistan, of the people that were lost, 13 service members that lost their lives in the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. He went, paid his respects. Guess what? Biden was at the beach. Kamala Harris was nowhere to be found. And now they're having this huge debate thing because we don't even know if we're going to have a debate. We reported on it in the earlier video, but check this out.
Back and forth. It began this morning, Kevin, in Politico Playbook. So Brian Fallon from the Harris campaign said, we have told ABC and other networks seeking to host a possible October debate, we believe both candidates' mics should be live. Jason Miller said, he's from the Trump campaign, we accepted the ABC debate under the exact same terms as the CNN debate. So Trump made that comment. He thinks the rules should stay the same, but nevertheless said he's open to the mic. You know, he could go either way, but he wants the same rules out of fairness. Brian Fallon has now said from the Kamala Harris campaign, Trump said unmuting the mics doesn't matter to me. Always suspected it was something his staff wanted, not him personally. With this resolved, everything is now set for September 10th. But is it? That's not what I heard.
No.
I think we're at a very interesting crossroads because you can't imagine a president of the United States. Let's be bipartisan for a moment. Let's agree on one thing. There is no scenario where the president of the United States can't head up a press conference. Under any scenario, every president has been able to address the press, and in the good times and the bad times. She has to start talking to the press, period. There's no optionality. There's no scenario where anybody would be comfortable, particularly in the swing states where swing voters are thinking to myself, what do we got here? Why won't she talk to the press? I'm asking it from a policy guy. I need explanations for these policies because I have to invest on these policies. I have questions, and I don't get any answers. I'm not being unreasonable. Come out wherever you are and talk to the press.
Yeah, I mean, that's well said. Emily, you know, if I'm President Trump and I'm watching this, I'm looking at someone trying to script their way to the presidency, to your point, and then I turn on ABC, who I'm expecting to be fair to me, and I see John Carl acting as a surrogate. He is a surrogate for the Kamala Harris campaign, the way he was so hostile to Tom Cotton, and I'm supposed to walk in and think you're going to be fair to me? I mean, really? What am I missing?
Well, remember when Don Lemon interviewed a bunch of people in New Jersey and Cleveland, and when Americans said, this is how I feel, he goes, that's not what the statistics show. The whole point is that the media has absolutely operated as a surrogacy for Kamala Harris this entire time, or for the Biden-Harris administration, and now that apparently goes to policies. So they're telling you, here's what the policy is, okay, and also here's how to feel based on numbers that I've made up rather than how you actually feel. The point that I see, too, is actually what Donald Trump said, which is, look, I'll debate you anytime, anywhere. I want my former or future commander-in-chief to have the confidence of someone that is ready to take on every other global leader. So I would hope that the current vice president would come out and say, yeah, what questions do you have?
So she's afraid to talk to the press. They won't let her talk to the press, but then she's going to be supposed to be the one, if she wins the presidency, talking to Putin, talking to Xi Jinping, talking to Kim Jong-un. This is a joke if there ever was one.
By the way, I saw on the night that the Evan Gorkovsky and everyone was released from Russia, she did take questions from the press. I watched it live because I was sobbing because we were bringing our Americans home. She took it live. So it's not that she's immune or impossible to do it, but something's clearly happening where she knows that when her feet's to the fire, it actually wouldn't work out. And quick final point to the thing that Donald Trump was saying, where it's like, obviously she doesn't debate me. When Floyd Mayweather wanted to fight John Gotti in the exhibition this weekend, which we watched, he didn't say, but it has to be XYZ. He said, hey, I want to fight you anytime, anywhere. You guys make the rules. I'll meet you there. Mexico City, great, I'll be there at 7. Why can't we have that confidence with a potential commander-in-chief saying, yep, let me know where to debate you, because I need to earn 335 million Americans' votes?
Tammy, and Donald Trump had a litany of questions for ABC he laid out on True Social, one of which was Donna Brazile, who, was accused of providing a question to the Hillary campaign while at CNN, no longer there, currently on ABC. But these are the kinds of things he is thinking through.
Indeed, and this is not new, right? We've seen this before with media. No one should be surprised. With debates, we've seen moderators act as surrogates for the Democrat candidate, or going after a Mitt Romney or a George Bush. And I think that this is what Americans now are privy to. They understand that this isn't the role of the media. You're not to be an advocate for one side. And, if the network's legacy media really wanted Kamala Harris there, or even a surrogate, is to say, we're having Tom Cotton on, we're not going to be your surrogate.
100%.
You have to have someone here. But if you want Tom
and Shade, who just posted, said Facebook owner Jones Trump team, guys, this is what's happening. You got too many, and it's really becoming very apparent. There's some hosts, some reporters, if you even want to call them that, on some of these ABC, NBC, MSNBC, who are 100% still following the narrative. But recently, even like Jake Tapper, I've got a video to show you. People that have been on MSNBC have been calling out and saying, no, we're not going to bow down anymore. We need to ask the hard questions. Where the heck is Kamala Harris? Why won't she do an interview? Why do y'all keep trying to blame Trump for everything that's wrong in America when y'all been in the administration? And now we've even got Mark Zuckerberg, who's openly came out and said, I regret doing anything with the Biden-Harris administration. They pressured us. We went to them and we just said, we'll do whatever you want. Things are changing. I feel like this is going to be a huge, insane election, but there's so much happening with election integrity, with lawsuits. Like, have you ever heard of this? The lawsuits that are happening from the Trump campaign trying to make things fair, the DNC trying to take away election integrity out of Georgia. Like, this is nuts.
On TV without any pushback, okay, but that's our situation. They would have to move on that. They'd have to put a surrogate there, but at least they could make that statement. As we say, it's like, yes, we've invited Kamala Harris and we've not heard back, or she refused. That's all you need to do. And at least you're doing your job in the meantime. But Trump also wants to make sure that he has some fairness in this environment. He knows it'll never really be fair, but he wants the American people to know.
Yes, and I think outside observers, we'll see how they see it, but people saw 2 debates set, 2 candidates, Biden, Trump. You replace the candidate. Now it's Kamala, Trump. Trump says, okay, but now you want to change the rules on top of all
that. Yeah, this late in the game. Remember, we're talking about 2 weeks from tomorrow that this debate is set to happen. But look, I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure that they really care at this point. That campaign has done so many flip-flops since she was announced. And I think that what they're doing is making, in their mind, smart political calculations that because now that she is the candidate, the rules don't apply to her and the rules are out the door. And I think they're showing that now, in particular with now this argument this
100%.
morning about the debate rules. They want his mic to be open. It's obvious because they want that fight, because she wants to fight. She's ready to fight. He's ready to fight. I say whatever the rules are, fine, but get the policy out there. Enough with all the semantics and the kumbayas with the Democrats. Time to hear about regulation, tax policy, health care, foreign policy. Enough is enough. We need actual specific
real answers. And I'm telling you this, like what you're about to see, this I don't believe would have happened 4 years ago. But things have changed. Listen. Because True Life, community, family, we got a new friend. You might know him as Jake Tapper. He works for CNN. Maybe. We'll see, guys. Let me know. Check this out.
A new chapter? I mean, she's the incumbent vice president. Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. How can Democrats talk about a new chapter turning the page? You guys are the ones writing the book.
Did y'all hear that? So this dude, Cory Booker, is trying to come out and say, there's a new chapter. Things are changing. And he literally just called him out and said, she's the vice president. She's the incumbent. What are you talking about, new chapter? You've been controlling the White House. But look at to this. This is such a political politician style of answer that he gives.
Well, you know that that's not true, Jay, because you know politics like I do. Right now, we see the MAGA Republicans in Congress killing all kind of pragmatic policies that we need to get done on the most contentious
So
issue.
ridiculous.
We had a bipartisan deal settled on by Senator Lankford, a right-wing Republican, and Chris Murphy, a blue state Democrat. And what killed that deal? What killed the pragmatic progress? Wasn't the sensible Republicans, but really people that were kowtowing to Donald Trump. His influence is egregious and incredible.
You see that? So again, too, it's not their fault. Yes, we've been in office. Yes, whenever Biden got into office, he signed like 80 executive orders. He stopped building the wall. He stopped the Remain in Mexico policy, undid so much the Keystone Pipeline, but yet it's not Biden-Harris's fault. They don't want to take accountability. It's disgusting. They need to, but this is where I finally feel like we're getting to a point where they finally are. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
While Joe Biden spends this week at a beach in Delaware, and with Harris nowhere to be seen today, President Trump was at Arlington National Cemetery honoring the 13 heroes killed during the Biden administration's botched Afghanistan withdrawal 3 years ago today. Trump later going to Detroit and hammering Kamala's role in the chaos.
Caused by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the humiliation in Afghanistan set off the collapse of American credibility and respect all around the world. Every crisis Kamala and Biden have created on the world stage can turn around very quickly, and we're going to turn it around. But only we need strong leadership. We'll get the resignations of every single senior official who touched the Afghanistan calamity to be.
Because remember, as botched as it was, as horrible as it was, nobody got fired.
On my desk at noon on Inauguration Day.
It's also been 3 years since Kamala boasted about being the, quote, last person in the room when Joe Biden...
It's so hard. It's hard for me to watch this. It's hard for me to see this video. Air Force is taking off. People are running for their lives because they know that if they don't, they could very well lose their life. People hanging on to the thing that the wheels that it's rolling on.
Decided to go ahead with the Afghanistan withdrawal. Jesse, people consider you to be the last person in the room because that's because everybody keeps trying to ditch you.
Yeah, they just left.
They just left.
Right. But you understand the reference, Greg.
Yes.
That she was somehow involved in the decision, and it was her wise guidance that he was relying upon. Listen, she was the last in the room in Afghanistan. She was the border czar, and she was the deciding vote on trillions of inflationary spending. On those three most popular Joe Biden items, she's basically like a conjoined twin. You cannot separate the two. And let's talk about foreign policy. What is her foreign policy? And this is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse, Jesse, I don't like that.
Figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
have their way with her, control her, not in a sexual way. You're now having F-16s getting sent over to Ukraine, and Ukraine's actually now invading Russia, and you're going to have her as commander-in-chief? That's nuts. Trump lays the wreath today, and besides the emotional impact that had and how sad the whole thing was, politically it was brilliant because Harris and Biden took the day off. It reminds everybody about what happened 3 years ago. And it was a very presidential look. And it shifted the momentum, that and the RFK event on Friday, completely away from Harris after her convention.
That's interesting.
Judge, it's a good point. Joe's on vacation again. Harris is distancing herself from the White House or campaigning. So for the 1000th time, who is running this country?
Yep. You know, I wish I had the answer. I obviously don't. I think we all think of the same person who has installed many of his former aides in the Biden administration. But, you know, this is what happened with Joe Biden. When he ran for office, he was that moderate, okay? And he was in that Trojan horse as a moderate. He backs up into the White House, and all the progressives that you can't even recognize for who they are go running into the White House. But Jesse's right. This is the one area where you truly cannot separate Kamala Harris from Joe Biden, because it's not only, I was the last person in the room, but the quote goes on, and you feel comfortable. I do. So, and when the Democrats call it a strategic and moral failure, what happened with the Biden administration, you know, that same Democrat who used those words, Congressman Ryan, when it came to Kamala, he says, or Vice President Harris, he says, we can't assign partisan blame. Yes, you can. You fire them. You make sure there are consequences. People, look, we knew that they left Bagram and they go to the Kabul airport, which has one runway. They have credible information. They identified the person. They identified what he was wearing. They had a shot right in place. They couldn't get the approval to shoot. It was the rules of engagement that are so effed up with this Biden administration that it ended up killing 170 Afghans and 13 Americans whose names have not come out of Joe Biden's mouth as he sat there and watched the boxes come off and the coffins, and he looked at his watch. But you know what? We know nothing about her history. All we know is that when she says every day I mourn and honor those 13, shame on you. That's the kind of exaggeration that we don't believe. The Gold Star family say Biden never publicly named them, and he was not someone that they are enthralled with, and neither is she.
Can you believe that the Gold Star family, remember the Gold Star family is somebody who's lost somebody in the line of service, said that Biden's never named them. And to think, like you heard Trump, what did Trump say? Hey, look, when I'm inaugurated on day one, those names of those people that botched that whole Afghanistan withdrawal, fired out the door, but not with Biden. That's what blows my mind. And there's somebody else who has something to say about this, a Special Forces veteran. It's just so sad, so sad.
More images coming in of former President Trump at Arlington Cemetery, paying his respects on the 3rd anniversary of the 13 U.S. service members killed in the bombing outside the Kabul airport in President Biden's botched exit out of Afghanistan. And the families did invite President Trump here. For more on all of this, let's go to military.
Did you hear that? The family members, the 13 service members who lost family members, they invited Trump. They didn't invite Biden. Does that tell you everything you need to know?
Veteran Jim Hansen. Jim served America for 15 years, including 8 years in the U.S. Army Special Forces. It's great to have you on, sir. So, Jim, Vice President Kamala Harris said she signed off on this. Today she's nowhere to be found. Reportedly in D.C., not campaigning. Can you tell us why this decision-making was so bad?
because she and Joe Biden have absolutely no clue how the U.S. should project power. They did this on purpose. This was a plan. Trump had a plan in place to do this exfil, but they had a better idea. And they literally ended up outsourcing the security for the exfiltration of everyone through Kabul airport to the Taliban, which is insane. The Taliban required them to go ahead and close Bagram Air Force Base, which we had used successfully and were able to secure for a long time, as one of their demands, and the Biden-Harris administration caved to that. That's what put their U.S. service members in jeopardy, and their blood is on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's hands for that failure.
Yeah, Pentagon officials pushed back on President Biden on this, and reportedly he wanted to rush this in order to get a headline for the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Watch CBS News anchor Margaret Brennan confront New York Democrat Representative Pat Ryan on this. Watch.
I want to ask you about Afghanistan, because in your call for Joe Biden to step aside, you also pointed to that as a Biden-Harris problem. In fact, you said it was a strategic and a moral failure, that withdrawal. The vice president says she was that last person in the room on that decision. Is that failure also hers?
We've got to stop assigning partisan blame on fundamental things like our national security.
Margaret Brennan said, you said that. You, Pat Ryan, said Kamala Harris failed here because she signed off on a final word.
She was the one who bragged about being the last person in the room. It was a horrible plan, poorly executed, and she should be accountable for it since no one else has been. And the place to do that is at the ballot box. She's not competent to be commander-in-chief.
Jim Hansen, thank you.
100%. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So much breaking news today. Democrats trying to give $150,000 to illegal immigrants, taxpayer-funded money. Tulsi Gabbard has joined the Trump Dream Team. Let's go. Mark Zuckerberg actually regrets working with the Biden-Harris administration because they censored the Hunter Biden laptop. They censored Americans about all kinds of stuff that came on. But hey, people are changing their mind. The truth is getting out there. Thank you to everybody that's watching. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the thumbs up like button. It really does help. And just want to say thank you to everybody that blesses our channel with a super chat donation. It is such a blessing to see this community grow. Don't forget to let me know where you're from. Thank you to all of our new members of the channel. Y'all are so amazing. And we're here to serve you every single day with the top news from all the different angles. We love you. We thank you. And we will see you in the next one. Take care.